Hello, and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry. Today is a very special day, because we are starting episode 2. That's right, episode 2. We finally finished episode 1 after 21 episodes. Whew. Okay, that means we get to unlock it. Or I guess it's already unlocked. Episode 2. Turn of the Golden Witch. Good morning. The Golden Witch eagerly awaits your arrival. Please do grant her that wish. Were you able to get a good rest and perfect your strategy? The witch expects a lot from you and is more than ready to launch an assault right from the start. I also look forward to seeing your strategy. The difficulty level is extreme. The witch intends to make you surrender all at once. Okay. Beatrice is, not letting us have a break, I see. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm a little nervous to see how we're starting this. And this story is very obviously fictional and fantastic in nature. Any resemblance to existing individuals, organizations, locations, or incidents is entirely coincidental. So, any battlers out there, this is not about you. George-sama, please look. They're so cute. Look, look. Oh, Shannon. She looks joyful. Shannon found a pair of hammerhead sharks swimming playfully in the tank. Okay, the real people in the background are killing me. And looked as excited as a grade schooler seeing an aquarium for the first time. Oh, it's a very low neckline. What does that say? What does the shirt say? Ash? Flash. Something... Tomitake Flash? I don't know. Yeah, they really are cute. Almost makes me want to eat them. Huh? I feel so sorry for them. Did you know? I hear the Japanese are the only people in the world who go to aquariums and say how delicious everything looks. Oh, I guess that's a thing in Japan. I didn't know. Is that so? I'm sure even Americans and Italians would want to eat these. That's two completely different places. American? I don't know anybody who'd want to eat a shark. I know someone who would very vehemently want to protect the shark. Shout out to you. You know exactly who you are. I don't know, but I can't say anything for Italians though. Those clothes look good on you. Really. Shannon clutched at her chest with both hands in embarrassment. She apparently felt like she was being made fun of for wearing these clothes she wasn't used to. Though George's face didn't show it, he'd actually said something so completely unexpected that it surprised even him. He was as embarrassed as Shannon on the inside. However, when he saw how embarrassed Shannon was, he started to imagine he was teasing a girl he liked, and instead of embarrassment, a ticklish amusement welled up in him. No, he wasn't just imagining it. He really was teasing the girl he liked. Before now, he wouldn't have expected to hear a line like that anywhere these days, not even in a manga or something. In fact, if he'd seen another couple acting like this, his first instinct would be to start throwing rocks at them. Yeah, the in public PDA can get a little something sometimes. But even if someone were to start throwing rocks at us now, I'm sure they'd be no different from confetti celebrating our relationship. So is this like an alternate ending where they made it off the island fine? There was no Demon's Roulette? Or is this just a different kind of alternate universe? Now I can't even remember those lonely days, when I felt jealous of couples who were completely oblivious to their surroundings. To use an old-fashioned phrase, these really are rose-colored days I'm living in. I'm so entranced that I barely barely notice that massive tank in the world's largest aquarium anymore. Instead, all I see are the expressions flitting across Shannon's face as she plays with the fish. It's amazing, isn't it? It's my first time seeing a tank large enough for a whale to swim in. I heard this tank is the biggest selling point here. And that it's the biggest in the whole world. Is that so? That's amazing. It's really wonderful. It doesn't even look like a tank at all. More like they sliced off a part of the sea with a knife and brought it here. You're right. This really is a little sea. Despite its size, I hadn't thought of the tank as anything more than a tank. That's why I found her metaphor so interesting. No matter how far humans broaden their experiences, they always end up viewing the world through the lens of their own values. Maybe that's why it's so interesting to interact with people who have different worldviews. Yes, George, actually, that's exactly why. If you lock yourself in an echo chamber, it's not very good for you. I voiced my thoughts on this. She responded. True, this may not be the real sea. But if those little guys swimming in there believe it's the sea, then that's what it is. Even though they're inside a finite tank, the sea is finite too. Then again, even if the sea were infinite, how much could we cover in our whole lives? I'm sure it'd only be a minuscule fraction of the sea. You're right. And it's ironic, isn't it? Even though the world is so vast, most of us humans live our lives without ever leaving our own country. Yeah, I've never left the US before. I haven't even been to like a third of the states. Crazy. If the inhabitants of a place believe they're living in a complete world, then even the bottom of a narrow well can be a wonderful world, and an entire ocean. At least to the frogs that live there. Shannon, who spent her days as a servant on a small island 10 kilometers in circumference called Rokanjima, said that with a smile. That's cute. Glad they're happy. Turn of the Golden Witch. Something bad's happening, I assume? Because something bad always happens. Ushirmia Battler. Okay. Ushirmia George, Ushirmia Jessica, Ushirmia Maria. So, like, the same cast, or are we gonna get some new characters? I mean, I'm fine with the 18 as long as... Never mind, Kraus is here. Ushirmia Kenzo, Kraus, Ava, Nati, Hideyoshi. Okay, as long as Goda doesn't show up again, I'm happy. Rudolph, Rosa, Kiri. You know what? It'll be nice to see Kiri again. I missed Kiri. Nanjo, Shannon, Goda, Genji, Kanon, Kumasawa. Beatrice. I like that Beatrice is a character now. I can appreciate that. Here we are. Turn of the Golden Witch. I wonder what's turning the Golden Witch. We're in a restaurant. A buffet. Ooh. After we finished walking through the whole aquarium, we had a small late afternoon lunch at a restaurant with a nice view. The word buffet has the power to make any boy's heart leap. I was like that myself once. But with Shannon beside me, this buffet felt different. I couldn't shamefully pile on only the things I liked. I was, how should I put it, worried about my appearance and choose a menu suited for a snob. Toast, salad, and coffee. Why wouldn't you get food you liked at a place where you're eating? I don't understand that. I don't see how that could make you look weird. If I'd been by myself, I would have made a pile of oily stuff like yakisoba, mashed potatoes, gratin, and so on. Okay. You know, it's weird to hear, like, first-person narration coming from anyone that, isn't Battler. I got a little used to that little guy. Shannon, is that going to be enough for you? If it is, then I guess we men are animals with really bad fuel efficiency. That's not what On Shannon's tray, there was only tea and salad. Maybe the mere fact that I thought she was a whole plate short proved I was thinking with a man's stomach. Actually, I should be asking you the same thing. Do you think men should eat a little more than that? I imagine you normally eat much more for lunch, right? Oh, right. Dang. Caught again. Come to think of it, you already know how much I eat normally because of meals I've had at the head family household. That's right. So I was worried you might have an upset stomach today. Shannon was kind enough to guess that I wasn't feeling well. Looks like my stupid attempt to show off made her worry. And apparently, my stomach wasn't going to let me show off any longer. Okay, I'll confess, I was just trying to look cool. I held back just because I was with a girl. I thought so. Considering how much you eat during lunch at the family conferences, I thought this wasn't nearly enough. Please, don't be so reserved and feel free to go choose another dish. It's not fair for only me to be embarrassed. What about you, Shannon? How will you be able to keep up with the Ushimiya family workload on such a sparse diet? The orphanage probably starves those kids, bro. Come on. Shannon fell silent and blushed bright red. Apparently I wasn't the only one showing off. When I realized that, my embarrassment disappeared completely. Oh, so that's not enough for you either, is it? Yeah, you usually eat a bit more than this for lunch. A woman's stomach is made of magic, so this is enough. So we've both been showing off to each other. Let's not hold back anymore, shall we? I smiled to show that I wouldn't make fun of her anymore and rose from my seat. After finally coming to Okinawa, it'd be a waste if we didn't eat some bitter melon. I'll go get some fried bitter melon or something. Like watermelon? Is that what that is? Because if so, I hate watermelon. I'm not a fan. Shannon, come with me. Come on. Yes. To anyone watching us, we might seem like an incredibly charming and embarrassing couple. But it's only after becoming a couple that you realize. To us, this exchange of words is everything. Our entire world. That's why no matter how much everyone else stares at us with blank expressions, we never notice. Indeed, at this age, I finally understand the feelings of couples who want to endlessly flirt without any regard for their surroundings. After I returned with a plate piled up with fried food, Shannon arrived with a pretty cake. While laughing at our fake stoicism, we resumed our lunch. Even though it's a restaurant with a view of the sea, it's so cloudy. Luckily, our window seats gave us a view of seaside scenery so grandiose that it extended even beyond our field of vision. However, because of the cloudy sky, we were only seeing a fraction of its usual beauty. That's right. If it were clear, we'd undoubtedly see a deep blue sea. Yep. I'll bet you're already used to the sea around Rokunjima, but the deep blue of the sea here would have surely been a sight to see. It's a real shame. Oh, but no matter how blue the sea is at work, it might as well be gray to me. But I'm not working today, so... Apparently Shannon was doing her best to say an embarrassing line, but I didn't let her get off easy. So close. If only you'd said when watching the sea alone with you, George-sama, it looks deep blue no matter how gray it is. Oh, it's so corny. I'd have given you full marks and a prize. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Want to hear what the prize was? If you don't mind telling me. No, I won't tell you. That's no fair. When I was in elementary school, I was always the kid who got bullied. When everyone teased me, I grew nervous and speechless to the delight of the bullies. Back then, I wondered why everyone teased me. But now, teasing Shannon like this, I understand why. This is so much fun. I can play with her emotions however I please. What the fuck? What is this? George, you sound like the opening of Diary of an Oxygen Thief. By the way, if you've never read that book, never read that book. Awful, miserable thing. Bro thinks he's Holden Caulfield. He's not. Holden Caulfield is miles better of a person. And has justification for why he acts the way he does. And I can have them all to myself. Right now, I can't think of any greater pleasure. That's why I have to go easy on her. It's not as though I want to make her feel embarrassed and upset. So I decided to be nice and change the subject. Best not to be too obstinate. When you've finished your lunch, do you want to take a walk on the beach? Maybe the clouds will clear up and we'll get a beautiful view of the sea. That's right. I want to go see it. Yeah, well, let's do it. But, that cake really does look delicious. Maybe I'll go get one of those too. You mustn't. If you eat cake after eating so much, you'll get fat. It looks like Hideyoshi-sama's blood is pretty thick in you, George-sama. So you'll get chubby if you don't take care. What the hell? Wait, I haven't even checked. What is... Oh. Okay, is it just the same... Okay, it's just the same, thing. Okay, what do these outfits look like? And... Hey, it took away the flash part. I just... Why is it a V-neck? Why did... His face looks weird. That's my issue. His face looks weird. Okay, let's see Shannon's. I love this outfit. She looks so cute. Oh. Oh, what the hell? What the hell? Oh my god, we can't get anything nice, can we? Really? Really? They had to go and do this? Oh my god. Yeah. Another reason why I like the original sprites. What? No. No. You know. Goodbye. Shannon, you won't stop liking me if I get fat, will you? After all, I wouldn't stop liking you if you got fat. I didn't mean it that way. If you don't take good care of your body, it will be bad for your health. My mother warns me all the time, too. I wonder if I'll have to take up Tai Chi Kwan or something like she does and get some exercise. You know, that reminds me, I went to Half Price Books today. Cause, I went to a Half Price Books outlet, which is, you know, the one where all the stuff no one wants goes. And, on occasion, they have these boxes. It used to be $5 for a box with about, I don't know, 70 movies. But today, they upped it to $10, which sucks, but it's whatever. And so I was looking through those DVDs, and I got like, all different. I got like Tai Chi for beginners. I got Pilates. I got The Biggest Loser. I got some Namaste one. I know that's yoga. I don't. What else? It's just like, what? Why did they decide to put these in a movie box? There was also, okay, this was comedic timing. Or just comedy in general. So, I got 17 again with Zac Efron near the beginning. And I got near the end, you know, I'm pulling them up like maybe 5 at a time, looking through them. And then all of a sudden, 17 again. Again. I got 2 17 agains. And it's just... I never usually get, like, good stuff with these boxes, but I like to see what I can get. Like, I did get a Ninja Turtles 4 movie set, which, I mean, I already had 2 of those movies on DVD, but There's nothing wrong with a little extra Ninja Turtles. What else did I see? I got Doctor Strangelove. It didn't come in the box. I picked that out separately because I need it for something, but I also really do like the movie. And then I got a movie with Benicio del Toro in it. I forgot what it's called, but I'm a big fan of him. So, anyways, really weird divergence, so. When going on a diet, it's better to start by rethinking your eating habits rather than just exercising all the time. Apparently, the exercise only helps if you're eating well first. In other words, you're telling me to hold off on the cake, huh? And I guess I'll just have to gaze at you while you stuff your cheeks with it, Shannon. A whole cake is probably too much, but maybe just half of one would be okay. Here, it's really delicious. Shannon cut her own cake and tried to move half to my dessert plate. I had no doubt that she wanted to share the delicious cake's flavor with me. However, I meanly pulled my plate away from her. She blinked in surprise. She couldn't seem to figure out if I was refusing the cake or not. So I winked, opened my mouth, and said, buddy, how old are you? And does it start with a 2? My goodness. So that's what you really wanted. Sheesh, you're such a pampered child, George-sama. Oh my god, okay. We're a little close, I think. With a partly embarrassed, partly exasperated face, Shannon offered the cake to me with a fork. Chomp. It tasted like a cheap chocolate cake you might find anywhere, and yet it was exceptional. Because eating cake in such an embarrassing way, as if we were a couple of perfect fools, had been my dream for many years. It made this cake's flavor heavenly. If the earth is destined to end, I wouldn't have any regrets if it happened right now. It was such a moment of bliss. We're on the beach. After that, we gathered shells, ran from waves, and enjoyed each other's company while walking along the beach. In the end, the clouds never parted. However, we both believed that the sea reflected in our eyes was a deep blue. Somehow, I'm so happy that it scares me. You do say that from time to time. What is it you're afraid of? I'm a servant of the Ushimiya family. For someone like me to be walking like this with a member of the family... it just felt like it was too much for me. I'm also surprised. I didn't just meet you yesterday or today, Shannon-chan. We've known each other for years now. However, we can only meet during those family meetings that only happen a few times a year. Back then, I couldn't even imagine having the sort of relationship where I could spend time with you like this. It was the same for you too, right? I did imagine it. No, I mean, maybe I should call it that kind of daydream. I did think about what it'd be like being in a relationship with you, a boy who was always so gentlemanly and considerate, though it was only ever a fantastic daydream. Then we must have your believing heart to thank for our relationship. Magic dwells in the power of love, so I'm sure that magic brought us together. You're right. I really do think it was magic. But you know, that's not actually true. As you kept looking more and more beautiful every year, you became a larger and larger presence in my mind, too. If the same thing happened to you, then the fact that we're here today is simply an inevitable consequence rather than something caused by magic or a miracle. No, a miracle did happen, George-sama. She stopped walking down the beach, gazing out beyond the sea. A miracle? No, it was magic. It happened. I was bewildered by that slightly mysterious phrase, which I sometimes heard her use. Magic, you say? Yes, magic. I doubt you'd believe me if I explained, so I won't. But this bit of magic definitely had the power to grant the miracle that brought us together. Are you talking about some kind of ritual? Yeah, you might call it something like that. Except that it really was magic, not just some ritual. Maybe it's all girls, not just Shannon, who tend to treat encounters as miracles or coincidences. But for a man like me, an encounter with a girl is 70% hard work to try and make her like you, 20% courage, and 10% coincidence. The part that means everything to her is a much smaller factor in my mind. Maybe that way of thinking itself is calculating and typical of men. Okay, sure. But if I said that out loud, it might dissolve all kinds of magic. To my mind, there were a lot of coincidences, compromises, and expended effort on both sides before we gained the relationship we have today. At the culmination of all that, we get to spend this joyful time together. And if she wants to call that magic, I've got no objections to her choice of words. So I'll stand up for that magic. You're right. If the same fate were repeated 100 times, maybe you and I could get into a relationship like this only one of those times. Any other instances, even though we'd be aware of each other, maybe we'd have only maintained a reserved relationship after all this time. From the perspective of those other me's and you's, you and I are undoubtedly in a miraculous relationship right now. That's not what I meant. It really was magic. No matter how often you tell me something like this, they'll never believe it. Kanaka didn't believe me at all either. I believe you. I'd hate for the magic to fade away because I didn't believe in it. George-sama. In a small voice, I apologized for saying something that trivialized her magic. Shannon seemed to be glad to hear me say that. After all, if two people believe in the magic of love, it becomes eternal. Oh, that's right. I was wondering if you'd be willing to agree to a little whim of mine. Yes? What is it? You call me George-sama, right? It's not that I dislike it, but would you consider not calling me that anymore? Of course, you have to keep up appearances with the Ushimiya family, so I wouldn't force you to do so during your everyday routine on Rokenjima. But when we're alone, I'd rather you didn't call me that. Yeah, let's make that a rule. A rule? What would happen if I violated that rule? Well, maybe we should have some kind of punishment game if you break the rule. Yes, what should it be? Wanna hear? No, I don't wanna hear. I'll have to think about what it should be. Okay. George-san. Yeah. I love the way that sounds. I'm so happy. Shannon. I also have another name. It's Sayo. I see. The rule's gotta be fair after all. I'll follow it too, and from now on, I'll call you Sayo. Okay. Sayo? Yes. I held her shoulder and drew her close. When I forcefully pulled her delicate body towards me, she dove into my chest like a doll. As I held her head in my arms, we both looked at the horizon. What a deep blue sea. I'm so happy we got to look at the sea. Just the two of us. Me too. I'm so glad to have a chance to look at this deep blue sea with you. As we gazed at the gray sea and the light rain began to sprinkle down, we kept listening to each other's heartbeats. That's sweet. Where are we going next, I wonder? Are we going to stick with them, or... Oh, why are we in the ocean? The sound of waves flows into my ears. No, it's the sound of an enraged sea. My body, bathed in painfully cold splashes, does not allow me to forget. It won't let me forget the memories of the day my old fate was broken and smashed. Once tomorrows were literally like looking into a mirror. All I ever saw there was the person I already was. Tomorrow was absolutely no different from today. What? What's going on? That was my old fate. But then, for the first time, I saw a different fate beyond the mirror. The witch whispers to me. She tempts me to take a bite out of the fruit of knowledge. She torments me, saying I'll be furniture as long as I stay in God's paradise. So I decided to choose the path of knowing love, and tried to become a person. Those days were like sweet honey, but at the time, I didn't realize that they'd be the start of a new kind of suffering. I've arrived at a small island on a motorboat I've only just learned how to use. No, this can hardly be called a small island. It's a little more than a rock jutting out of the water. On this rock is a torii and a small shrine. It was probably built to worship the guardian deity of Rokenjima. Even though I don't know exactly what it signifies, I know it has to be something holy. Even in a place like this, I've got to take just one more look around to see if there's anyone who might get mad at me for coming. I see nothing but the stormy ocean, Nijima looming in the distance, and the waves breaking against Rokenjima's steep cliffside. Do I get to know who this is? Hypothetically. Does it... Oh, hey, the family's here. Hey, guys. Is it because we're back on Rokenjima? I ready myself. Timidly approach the small shrine and take the mirror that lies there as an offering. The mirror looks so old, cloudy, and dirty. That would probably make any normal mirror seem horribly cheap. However, since the mirror has been placed in this small shrine, its appearance seems to give me some sort of divine quality to it. And there's one thing I can tell. It's just no simple mirror. It may seem like an old battered mirror to a non-believer like myself, but it has great significance. Is it really okay to break this after being captivated by honeyed words? No, this isn't really a mirror. This is the life I couldn't escape until today. My fate. I'll break it. I'll smash it. And seize the life that lies behind this mirror. If I don't smash it, my life will be a pair of facing mirrors forever. Nothing will ever change in the slightest. Oh no. Purple swirls. The witch whispers to me. She tempts me to take a bite of the fruit of knowledge. And maybe I've already tasted of that fruit. After all, I've already experienced those maddening emotions. Just as Adam and Eve felt compelled to pluck their fig leaves, I can no longer go on without breaking this mirror. I've struggled with conflicting emotions for many days before this moment. Inside my heart, the virtuous part of me kept on fighting the part that sides with the witch. And now, here I am. Did the part of me that's here right now win or lose? There's only one thing I know. To obtain something, you must be ready to lose something. Cowards who don't risk anything, who never try to change anything, will never be given that key that opens the path to a new future. That key is already in my hands, and that key is to break this, to smash it. Is there any other effort I can make as furniture imprisoned in Rokenjima? No. This is the only way for me. Come, have courage. I'll free myself from being mere furniture. So this is one of the servants. I just don't know if it's a servant we know or a servant we don't know. And by accepting a new kind of suffering, I'll become human. This is surely a small, yet large trial I must impose on myself. Come on, smash it. I'll smash to pieces the eternally unchanging fate that imprisons me. I raise the mirror high. I think back on the days of conflict that came before. And finishing my reflections in the blink of an eye. I throw it down. The thunder roars, crying out against me for my outrageous act. It truly is the hatred of angels trying to banish me from eternal paradise. I look down at the mirror tumbling at my feet, broken in 2 equal parts. And after making sure I've accomplished my task, I scream up at the raging skies. I've kept my promise. Now, it's your turn to keep yours. Right? Thunder roars once more. I've already been banished from paradise, so I'll have to struggle on my own if I want to live. The witch told me. That is the single element of this world. To lose it means losing the world. Like how a canteen with a hole in the bottom can't be filled no matter how much water you pump into it. Kept my promise. Now it's your turn to keep yours. Please grant my wish. Beatrice Sama. Ooh, we get the intro again. Okay. Let's see if it's different. I mean, we've already seen it before, so I can talk during this one, I think. Don't get mad at me if I talk during this one. I love this song, though. Let's see if I notice anything that kind of foreshadows the Rose Garden, of course. Yeah, Maria in the Rose Garden. And the shadow, or well, Battler, Jessica and George, Natsumi. Okay, it's the magic circle. That makes sense for her. All the adults, the servants, the adults arguing. That makes sense. More magic circles, magic arrays. The kids figuring stuff out. Maria with the blood. Okay, that makes sense. Was that there the first time? And there's the bottle with the diary page, I assume. Did Maria always have blood on her face? Did she have that in the first one? I've never noticed that. Huh. Okay, where are we now? When are we? Who are we? My mind wandered. Back to the days when I could barely imagine the happiness I have now. I was a middle schooler at the time. A normal girl who thought about love as much as you'd expect of someone at that age. But in truth, it was wrong of me to have that dream. After all, I am furniture. Is this Shannon? Furniture is nothing more than a tool, not a human. As a person less than a human, simply receiving an education was an enormous blessing. So in reality, even thinking about falling in love was more than I deserved. The Ushimiya family conference was a customary event held every October, but relatives sometimes visited at other times. Of course, they didn't come just to drink tea. On this day, Ava's family was visiting the head family on Rokinjima. The 3 members of Krause's family and the 3 members of Ava's family had gathered in the parlor, and were having a friendly chat about recent events. Genji had supposedly told Kenzo of Ava's family's arrival, but he still hadn't come down. He was probably immersed in his research and couldn't spare the time. This often happened, so the others waited patiently for their fickle father to arrive. Huh. How promising. I really enjoyed not having to see you. I hope you know that, buddy. I was so glad that you were gone. But here you are. In my face. Make sure you work hard under your father, building the skills you need if you want to lend him a hand soon. Thank you very much. I've learned countless precious things from the many experienced people fathers introduced me to. And these were all things I could never have learned in school. When you're in school, it's not math and the language you're learning. What they're really teaching you is the right outlook and attitude for learning more. Once you've got that base, you can finally start a long period of study that'll last your entire life. People who don't get this end up spending their whole lives as fools who never learn. Just getting full marks in math and language won't do you any good at your company. Indeed, that is exactly right. Hideyoshi-san, your style of education never fails to impress. George isn't quite a full man yet. He'd better always keep that in mind and embrace his studies. Stop it, dear. George is always giving it his all. Right? Truly admirable. I wish our Jessica would learn from him. Sheesh. Are you still holding a grudge about that test score? I'm studying for tests the best I can. At least I don't say it here. Pissing me off. Once people started praising George for his diligence, the conversation usually turned to Jessica, who hated studying. Jessica made an openly displeased face, as though she'd known this would happen. My. Schoolwork aside, it seems Jessica had better learn to choose her words a little more gracefully. How improper for the single daughter who bears the weight of the Ushimiya family crest. Come now, she's quite appealing in her own way, isn't she? Times change. The time when we had to act all modest to entertain men ended long ago. That's right. I knew you'd understand, Aunt Ava. My headache is truly trying today. Are you okay? Aunt Natsuhi, you're looking a bit pale. Thank you, I'm fine. Still, time really has flown. It feels just like yesterday when you would run around half naked by the beach and come back soaked. Oh, wasn't your Jessica-chan the same? And now she's a lady who fusses over how to put on makeup. I see you focused on your eyebrows. You look really cute today. Thank you very much. No one noticed. I was a bit unsure of myself. Full smile rose to Jessica's face as the results of her own studies were finally appreciated. Ava smiled back in the same way. Then she turned that smile towards Natsuhi. Come on, Natsuhi-ni-san. You must take notice of small changes in your own child. Poor Jessica-chan. You probably wanted your mother to notice first, didn't you? No problem. That person never notices anything. Jessica, I cannot condone you speaking of your mother in such a fashion. Apologize. Oh my god, can this bitch go away? Later, I will speak to you at length about your language. Ugh. You don't want kids getting in your way, just say so. I'm gonna go take a step outside. It's getting stuffy in here. Jessica was still at the age where tests and entrance exams were pretty nerve-wracking. Recently, she clashed often with her mother, who was enthusiastic about her education. Excuse me. Yeah. Jessica, who was trying to leave the parlor in a bad mood, bumped into Shannon, who was pushing a serving cart filled with tea. Shannon, no need to worry about my tea. Just gonna go wander around the garden. Milady. Shannon, the tea is getting cold. Serve it quickly. My apologies. Shannon hadn't actually done anything wrong, but Natsuhi, who felt like something shameful to herself had been shown, lashed out at her emotionally. This was something that often happened in the Ushimiya family, but it seemed Shannon wasn't strong-willed enough to just accept it and move on. She shrank back and cowered while serving the tea. She had the unfortunate habit of making more mistakes when she cowered. Her pitiful appearance ruined the peaceful atmosphere that had existed a moment before. It wasn't really Shannon's fault, but she thought she might be the source and felt a pressure on her chest. Her shaking fingers made the utensils clang, and you couldn't have called it graceful, not even just to be polite. The more pitiful she appeared, the greater the silence grew. The more irritated Natsuhi looked, and the more Shannon cowered. Shannon's thin neck felt like it was being suffocated and choked by the reaper known as stress. That time, George spoke brightly, blowing away the stiff atmosphere. This smells nice. What kind of black tea is it? This is... No, don't say it. I'll guess. It's a very distinctive smell, so I probably know it. Is it Earl Grey? I think it probably is. Yeah, I'll bet it's Earl Grey. When you get back to the kitchen, check the tin. Huh. George-kun, you know a lot about black tea, don't you? Huh. That's Beatrice's tea of choice. One of the company presidents who's looked after me was very knowledgeable about black tea. Wait, is Beatrice's picture still up? No, she's gone. I managed to pick up a little while listening to him discuss the subject. Oh yeah, the president of Okanagi Foods. Yep, and that sort of trivia is that guy's specialty. The names of black teas often refer to the places they're made, right? So, did this come from a place with that name? From what I've heard, there was a person called Earl Grey in England a long time ago, and it was named after him. Furthermore, this distinctive smell doesn't come from the tea leaves, but from a fruit called bergamot, which is a relative of the mandarin orange. Is that so? I never knew that. Learning things like that makes tea taste all the more delicious. Same thing goes for alcohol and cigarettes. Luxury items have a taste of romance. Knowing stuff like this deepens the taste. It's the same as reading the list of benefits on a medicine bottle. Natsuhini-san, you should try reading the explanation on your favorite headache medicine someday. Ha 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 ha. That's a wonderful idea. Try it tonight. Oh my god, I hate this guy. Like, you know, what would make my mood worse is if Goda showed up. But that's not an invitation for him to show up. If he shows up, I'm closing out of the game. Yes, I'll do so. Shannon, try opening that pot. You should find some dried bergamot mixed in with the tea leaves. Yes. It's in there. Something like dried orange peel is mixed in. Yes, that's probably bergamot. The main ingredient in Earl Grey's scent. The scent is vivid, so you might expect the taste to be intense, but it's still gentle and easy to drink. If you make it with milk, the scent should become more mild, which works great. If there's anything left in the pot after you've poured for everyone, you really should try drinking it with milk. Yes. Thank you very much. George gave her a small wink. Shannon finally realized that George had kind-heartedly swept aside the tense atmosphere in the room, and he had done it for the sake of Shannon herself, a cowering servant. The Ushimiya family did not pamper their servants. Any display of awkwardness would be harshly punished, so it was rare for them to be given a helping hand like this. Thanks to George's kindness, Shannon managed to regain control of herself and finished serving tea without further incident. As long as she stayed calm, she could carry out her work elegantly and flawlessly. By the time the black tea was laid out on the table and its elegant scent filled the room, the atmosphere had completely returned to its former peaceful mood, and everyone praised George's knowledge. Shannon wanted to thank him for saving her, but it didn't look like she would get the chance. So she decided to at least thank him inside her heart, praying to God that George would hear it as she pushed the serving cart away. Wow, that George guy sure is great. George Nissan always lends a helping hand at times like that, by changing the topic or something. Shannon and Jessica were in the rose garden. Jessica still hadn't returned to the parlor after getting into a fight with her mother and was nonchalantly killing time here. When I think back on it, I get the feeling this wasn't the first time he's helped me like that. Whenever I made a careless mistake and George is around, I'm pretty sure he'd always naturally smooth things over and restore harmony. Maybe it wasn't something as direct as picking up a fork that had been dropped, but that was his way of caring. Even servants have their pride. They want to fix their own mistakes by themselves, and if a guest lends them a hand, they'll lose face. He's really good at reading between the lines when stuff like that happens. Well, I guess it's kind of like an art to him. That guy's more of a show-off than he looks. That's not true. I think he's a really wonderful person. Shannon, you haven't fallen in love with George Nissan, have you? For once, Shannon had disagreed with Jessica in a slightly forceful tone, which immediately caught Jessica's attention. No, that's not it, I think. Come to think of it, I've hardly heard any stories about George Nissan and love. I think I remember hearing him say that family-oriented girls were his type, didn't I? Sweet, that fits you perfectly, Shannon. It does? How could I am not suitable for such a thing? Not suitable? Like hell you aren't. You've known him so long, you're practically a childhood friend. They say that when you start from a natural relationship where you don't think of him, of the other as a member of the opposite sex, things start to move pretty fast once you finally start thinking about it. There's no doubt. Jessica loved teen magazines with this kind of story, and she was always getting excited talking about that kind of thing with her friends. She was very quick to pick up on love stories like this. So, this wasn't the first time Shannon had been exposed to this kind of story. But this certainly was the first time she'd started thinking of George as a member of the opposite sex. She was furniture, while George was an honored guest and a member of the Ushimiya family. Until now, she'd assumed that even imagining any deeper relationship with him would be impermissible. So, she hadn't thought of it. Since it was someone else's problem, Jessica poked fun at it, seeming to enjoy herself. If it was all Shannon could do to hide her blushing cheeks. If George were to appear at a time like that, she'd have no chance of keeping her cool. They saw George come out from the entrance hall of the mansion. It looked like he'd seen them as well. He headed over, waving his hand. Shannon had to frantically try and regain her ordinary composure before George reached them. Grandfather finally came down. Now they're having an adult discussion, so they chased me out. Escaping then was the right choice. Be better to kiss the angel of death than look at grandfather's face. You shouldn't speak that way, but, you know, I think grandfather might think of us as angels of death. After all, we came here to talk about borrowing money for business reasons. That's right, this wasn't the customary annual October family conference. Ava's family had visited to apply for a business loan from the head family. Imagine having a business loan from your own family. Kenzo had vast resources, and he lent those out to his children. Of course, they didn't borrow money because they were living in poverty. How would they expand their business with the vast sums they wanted to borrow? How much interest would be attached, and how long would they have to repay it? This wasn't the sort of loan designed for the poor. It was a loan for those who were on the offensive. Kenzo strictly judged whether it would be worth lending out his fortune, and afterwards he strictly oversaw its use. So, Rokenjima would sometimes play host to the spectacle where relatives visited and described their businesses to Kenzo. To the parents, these meetings burdened them with the strain of having to move a vast amount of money. But to Jessica, who lived on this isolated island called Rokenjima, it was a precious opportunity to meet up with her cousins. So, being able to talk with the occasional guests, such as George like this, immediately cured the bad mood she'd gotten from that fight with her mother. My family's totally stingy too. They've probably got money to spare, so why not lend it out graciously? Dad and grandfather will probably get pig-headed and act all important. It's natural to be prudent when lending money. Of course, my father will use what he borrows to expand his business, and he came up with a plan that promises a solid probability of repayment. Everything else is left up to the presentation. But I really wish I could watch from the corner and learn. Mother chased me out. I'm a little let down. It seems the master still tends to scold Kraus-sama and Ava-sama as if they were kids. I'm sure she didn't want to let her son see that. As Shannon hung her head, she thought back on a scene familiar to those who worked in the mansion. Even Kraus, who acted haughtily towards his siblings, was still treated like a child by Kinzo. Shannon herself had often seen Kinzo slap Kraus and tell him to sit up straight. It was probably very embarrassing to be coerced like that at his age. Taking care to avoid being present at times like that was one of the important responsibilities held by the servants working here. However, the fact that Shannon had ended up witnessing such a scene meant that she'd messed up at least once in the past. Yes, I imagine so. Maybe figuring that out and staying away is part of a child's duty. Ah! That aside, the flowers in the garden are truly splendid this year. George stretched as he said that, and he smoothly changed the subject away from one that was a little gloomy. This time, Shannon noticed it too. This person, George, could sensitively figure out the situation and always change the subject to something harmonious out of kindness. It was so smooth that Shannon hadn't noticed until today. Today, Shannon really had to admire the way George did that. Of the boys close to Shannon's age that she'd known, nearly all had been classmates during her period of mandatory education. But they had all been young, and none had possessed the composure George had. Mere moments ago, he'd been just another guest. But right now, she couldn't help but think of him as something more. Oh, that's awful nice. I think lighthearted is the way we should go out today. I like that we're finally having some more slice of life moments after the hellscape that was the last few episodes. I'm sensing this, or at least this beginning part. This beginning part's very Shannon-centric, especially because we have her point of view, so maybe I could assume that that little scene there of the breaking the mirror was her, if everything else has kind of been from her perspective. Well, it's George's too, but yeah. I'm a little nervous for what exactly this chapter will entail, but I'm enjoying it. And I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.